to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for joining us today. Get ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high-impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel, and welcome to a new season. I'm excited. We've taken quite a break, a longer break than probably we ever have before since we started this podcast. So I've been doing a lot of traveling. I've been to a number of countries and different states. So that took me away from this regular podcast, but all of that is over, and I'm excited to be back with you. And today I'll be talking about one of those trips and experience and something really, I think, super valuable and important for everyone to understand. The one thing you can count on in life. I've got words of encouragement and inspiration for you today. Before we jump in, let me just give you a little preview and say over this season, we're going to be talking, as we always do, about success in various kinds of ways. We're also going to talk about problems. That's going to be one of the topics we're going to delve into in depth. Another topic we're going to delve into in depth is excuses and what we can do about those to make our lives better. We're going to talk about time. That's another topic we're going to dig into in a big way. Words, especially some specific words that we speak and the power of those words. I'm going to follow up next week. Last episode of the last season was about anxiety in terms of other people having anxiety and how we can help them. And I thought, I should probably come back and say, well, what are some of the keys for not having anxiety in your own life? And I was actually going to start with that to make the direct bridge from last season to this season. But this one is one I really want to talk with you about. So we've got And then something that I'm really excited about and we're going to dig into too is this whole aspect of mindset, something that I have done episodes on before, but I want to take it up to another level, to another notch in this new season, because I'm just more and more convinced that this is such a key to success in life, to happiness in life, to fulfillment in life. Has to do with your mindset, your attitude. The old word was attitude. It seems like mindset's replaced it. Whatever the word is, that's best. I'm all for it. Speaking of which, very soon, maybe even by the time this episode is broadcast, I will have a new plan, a new reading plan out on the YouVersion Bible app called Mindset Matters. So that's the largest Bible app in the world. Over 500 million people subscribe, and you can go to it, type in the search Mindset Matters, and if it's out, it'll take you right to it. Next week, I should have more information for you about that than I do at the moment. I've just gotten back from another trip just a couple of days ago, so just trying to get everything squared away. Between seasons, some big things did happen. I had a big article on Fox News, which is what this whole episode, a small sort of 700 words of it, is in that article, The One Thing You Can Count On in Life. So you can read that. Today's much better because I'm going to get to go in far greater detail and expand on it, which is what I want to do. But that came out in, I believe, July, maybe June. And then at the end of July, on that same Bible app, I was the Verse of the Day speaker. So if you just typed in my name in the search area, Rick McDaniel, it would take you to all the plans that I have, 6 of them already. The 7th one will be Mindset Matters. And then you can also scroll down and you'll see that Verse of the Day video, so you can watch that. That's happened. I've had incredible growth on the Pray app, and there are certainly some of you, many of you who listen to this podcast through that app, getting close to 200,000 followers. So love to have you become one of those followers as well. So lots of good stuff has been happening, did happen over the summer. Some really big things with these, the combined reach of the stuff I'm talking about and some of the stuff I did on Pray is somewhere north of 2 million people. So, wow, that was a heck of a summer without the podcast. But I'm super excited to have the podcast back and ready to roll and talk with you about this super important subject. And so we're going to dive in. I'll talk more next week about some other things that are available to you resource-wise. But the one thing you can count on in life, and most people would say it's death and taxes, but I'm going to say it's something else. And so let me just start with what happened to me. I went with my wife to the island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. Always wanted to go there, always heard about it, how unique it was. It has something called the pitons, these pitons, depends on how people pronounce it both ways. There are these two mountainous volcanic plugs, and they sit on either side of Sugar Beach, Gros Piton, Petit Piton, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They're really stunning. You gotta see a picture of them to really appreciate it. And there's really nothing like them in the Caribbean. So we went there for a total relaxation thing. That was, my wife is like, can we just take a trip where we don't do anything? And I'm like, I got the perfect place. So we went there, fantastic place we stayed at, marvelous time of just rejuvenation and relaxation. In the midst of all of that, I said, well, let's at least do something. And I read about this hike on the Piton called Gros Piton. And so I said, why don't we give it a shot? So my wife was like, and then the place at the resort had some information about it. And she's like, well, let's look into it a little bit more. And we went online and we looked at some stuff online. And basically, this is what it said. The first half of the hike is moderate, and then it gets more difficult after that. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound too bad. And, we're pretty good with the hiking. We've hiked in Acadia and Yosemite and Yellowstone and Grand Tetons and Shenandoah. I mean, we've done a few in the national parks in America. We've done some other hikes like in Iceland and some places in other countries. And so, we both work out. We were in good shape and we thought we could handle it. And so my wife was a little more hesitant than I was, but we did decide that we were going to do it. It also said 5 miles, and I thought, well, that's a little bit of a distance, but I think we can do it. So we set out to do it, and when we got there, they started to kind of sing a little different tune, and were like, you might want to get a hiking stick, and you're definitely going to need a lot of water, and this is going to take a while to do. And spidey senses started going off like, and my wife even more so was kind of like, I don't know about this. But we're there, we've paid for it, what are you going to do at that point? And so we set off on this hike with a guide. And I mean, just very early into the hike, I'm like, this is not moderate. I know moderate. I've hiked many places with the moderate, and this is not moderate at all. This is difficult, and this is the beginning. I mean, there was nothing besides the very beginning for a very short period of time that was anything like a regular hiking path. Almost immediately, the path consisted of walking over rocks and rocks and rocks and rocks. It was just wow. And so we made it up to the first, there's 3 spots that you can stop, like a quarter, a half, 3/4 before you get to the top. And, they were selling water there already. Was like, I probably ought to get another water. And, my wife is looking at me like, that was pretty hard, and it's supposed to get harder. And so then we set out for, you might say the second half. Well, we didn't get that far. And remember, this is still in the first half of the hike. Say we did 1/4 of it, and this is the second quarter. So this is still within the first half. And It's just getting extremely difficult. Really, now you're not walking at all. It's total climbing. And so then my wife just looks at me and says, I'm out. I'm not going to do this. And just about exactly as she was saying that, there was this lady who came walking by, and she is like, hey, I'm not doing this. To my wife, if you're thinking about not doing it, I'm going back, and I'd love to have you just join me, and we'll just go back to the start and just stop right now. And so my wife looked at me. I'm like, hey, we're on vacation. I don't want you to be miserable. And so she's like, okay, I'm out. I'm done. And so she headed back, and I headed on. We got to the halfway point. And I said to the guy, I said, hey, what's the deal here? Like, this is not moderate at all. And the guide's response really was just like, hey, this is what it is. I do this every day. I lead this hike every day. It's not that big of a deal. So then we went on from there, and it just got extreme angle, like an extreme angle. Like, this is just straight climbing. There's just no other way to put it. And frankly, there were some places where there were places that you could, grab onto to kind of help you up, railings, and, needed them, absolutely needed them. And by the time we got to the 3/4 point, I was like really tired, exhausted, winded. And I was like, wow, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can make it. And I sat there and I was like, wow, I'm not a quitter. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an inspirational author. And my whole goal is to tell people they can do things. Don't quit. Don't give up. And what am I going to do? I can't quit and give up when I tell everybody else not to. But this is super challenging. And so the guy looked at me, and I basically shared with the guy what I shared with you, this is who I am, this is what I do. So pulled out a couple of mangoes, which is very common fruit there, and said, eat these, it'll give you a burst of energy. So I ate the mango. That did give me a burst of energy. Took some more water, and up we went. And just brutally difficult. Finally got to what I thought was the top. And there was a guy there. It's hilarious because a guy had literally hauled up a cooler all the way. Like, 2 guys had done it. Just can't believe they did it. And in there are like ice cold Gatorades. Now, these are the most expensive Gatorades that are sold in the world. And I just have to tell you, I had no problem forking over more money than I could ever imagine for Gatorade because, I had to have it. And I thought I had reached the top. And these rascals are like, yeah, well, still not quite there. And they point, and it's almost like a direct, straight up kind of thing before to get to the top. Finally get to the top. And I have to tell you, totally disappointed. Totally disappointed. And all I could think about was places that I've hiked, other places like in Acadia in Maine, for instance, when I hike much less difficult and a difficult hike, but nothing compared to this, with a view that was 10 times better. And I could talk about, again, Yosemite, many places, and say, you got to be kidding me. So I said to the guy, I said, this is not acceptable. There's got to be a better view than this. And the guy is like, there is, but now we'll have to hike across the top. This would be more of a walk than a hike in the sense of hiking up. It was a normal type hike going through. So we did that just to get to the other side, to finally have the view that was worth it. And of course, the picture that you had to have if you did all that. But again, that's more exertion now to go across the top. And the thing that really struck me was the exhilaration of having achieved the goal was completely absent because the goal was not achieved. It wasn't like a helicopter was going to fly up and take me off this mountain. I got to go all the way back down. And I am a guy that is big, exceptionally big in the upper body in terms of my shoulders and chest and all that. And so that is really tough when you're going down, because all the weight of the bigger upper body comes down onto your knees and your feet and your ankles. It's not, it's not ideal. It's not an ideal thing. So I knew what I was in for, that there was going to be enormous pounding of the upper body weight coming down onto the lower body. And so we began, and it was just brutal. Now, we had started in the morning, but this hike took like 5 hours. So now we're hitting into the afternoon, and now the heat is increasing. And so it just gets to be extremely difficult. I had to like pour water over my head to kind of cool me down. Just was really something. The risk of falling, the heat, it was an unbelievable experience. And when I got done, then I needed to get the shuttle from the hotel to bring me back to the hotel. As soon as I got back, my wife was there and pretty concerned, and got more concerned when she saw me. And so then we just had to go right into recovery mode, because this was, the vacation wasn't over. And if the rest of the vacation wasn't going to be ruined, something had to be done. So that something was getting a lot of ice and getting my core temperature down, just putting it around my neck, chest area, and trying to get the core temperature down. The ice then into the pool. The pool is actually kind of colder water. Trying to get that down. My wife called and scheduled a massage for the next morning to again try to massage the muscles, get out the lactic acid, all that kind of stuff. The next morning after the massage, we actually went to a yoga class, which it turned out was just my wife and I, so it turned into more of a stretching class. And I have to say that, the ice, the cold, the massage, the stretching, all of that achieved exactly what you would hope, which is it helped me to recover so that it didn't ruin the rest of the trip. And I was able to, enjoy the rest of my time. So here's the thing, just to give you some numbers so you can understand. When I looked at my iPhone, I had climbed 160 floors. Just so you know, the tallest building in the world, which is in Dubai, is 163 floors. There is no building in America, none, that is 160 floors. Sears Tower, World Trade, Empire State, none. So picture going to the tallest building in the world and saying, I'm going to skip the elevator. I'm going to walk up the entire building. And then I'm going to walk back down. And then on top of that, not in an air conditioning, perfectly flat, smooth steps, but rocks and boulders outside in the heat. Just to give you an idea, 5 hours. Now, when I got back, I was talking with someone about this, and they immediately pulled up Google, and the very first thing they typed in was an article by a guy who, again, much slender, much smaller man than me, like a marathon running type of guy, who went on and on about how hard it was and how shocked he was, how difficult it was, and that he would run marathons and he had trained for this, and that it was unbelievably difficult, and he was challenged to even finish it. Somehow I never saw that when I looked it up on Google. That never came up, which is amazing to me, because if I had read that, it would be like, yeah, let's not do this. And my wife definitely would have been like, yeah, let's not do this. This is not what we want to do. But here's the thing, having done it now, with the benefit of time having passed, of course, now I think of it differently. I haven't told the story I'm telling to you right now for a couple of months. In the beginning, I was telling the story a lot. But as time passes, all of a sudden it's more about the achievement than it is about the difficulty. It's more about, maybe it wasn't as hard as I remember, although telling it back to you today is reminding me of all this. But here's the bottom line in all of this. If there's one thing that you can count on in life, it's this: the path will not always be easy. The path I took on that hike was not an easy path. Life is a test, and sometimes it can be very hard. And it doesn't take too long in life to figure that out. And there are times when the path seems too difficult. Dreams die, conflict erupts, grief overwhelms. And giving up seems like a very tempting option. Quitting can seem like the best route to take. But there is another way. And that is to continue on, to refuse to quit and to give up. Sometimes God places you in situations that seemingly are too hard for you. They are beyond your ability to bear. It appears to be an utterly impossible challenge. You're faced with it, and you may be faced with it right now. You're perplexed, you're overwhelmed, even crushed by your circumstances. You may be stretched beyond your abilities, pushed to the point of despair. You want to quit the job. You want to walk away from the marriage. You want to give up on the plan. It's just too much. And I'm here to tell you what appears to be impossible can in fact be done. And upon some time passing between this event and where we are today, it doesn't seem as hard. It was hard, but it's like, yeah, and then I did it. Another route you may choose to take is just simply complain. To just say it's too hard, it's not fair. Focusing on what's wrong with your life, so you're not seeing any of the good. And then you don't push through. And then you end up settling for less than God's best for your life. And you'll regret that. You will regret it. You can count on this in life. There will be adversity, and it will either break you or refine you. It will either crush you or strengthen you. It will either cause you to run away or to dig in. The test is guaranteed. Whether you pass the test is up to you. Someone once said, "Don't confuse your path with your destination. Just because it's stormy now doesn't mean you aren't headed for sunshine." Don't confuse your path with your destination. Maybe it is stormy right now, but that doesn't mean that there isn't sunshine ahead. Pursue your purpose, pursue your progress, pursue your path. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't allow the hardships of life to cause you to be discouraged. If you break up the word discourage, right? Just take it from a word guide. Dis means loss of. So what does it mean to be discouraged? It means to lose your courage. It's the most basic way to understand discouragement. You've lost your courage. Your courage says, I can climb that mountain. I can overcome this obstacle. I'm not going to let my dream die. I will not be overwhelmed by this grief. I will not give in to the belief that this relationship is over. I will fight for it. I will stay after it. When you follow the path, however hard or difficult, you'll arrive at the place God meant for you to be. You have to believe that. And you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary. The day after I did that hike, I didn't feel so great. And then the day after, I felt a little bit better. By the end of my vacation, I'm doing fine and I'm walking through the airport, no problemo. I come back home and it's a victory. In fact, my wife was getting such a kick out of it because as the story then began to be told, the story was told in the context of the achievement. Not so much, yes, the difficulty part was there, but it's the achievement. Let me say this. When I first saw my wife after I was done, I literally said to her, "You have not heard me say these words many times in our marriage, dear. You've said them to me many times. I have not said them to you nearly as many, but I'm going to say it now, so savor it. And here it is. You were right." That's what I said. You were right. Meaning you were right to just skip this and to just realize it's too much and to go back to the start. That's what I said immediately. But within a week, I was saying, I achieved this. I overcame this challenge. I didn't give in. I didn't quit. In the moment, you can believe quitting's the best option. And in the moment, you can think, oh, yeah, I wish I should just do what other people have done. It look, it's the easier way out. Yes, it is. But then after you stay in it and what seems impossible becomes possible, 5 hours of nonstop hiking, equivalent to the tallest building in the world, only done outside on rocks and boulders, achieved. And what that tells you then about what else you might be able to do in your life. And that's the beauty of this one thing you can count on in life, the adversity, the test, is that when you pass the test, then you have confidence that you can take on a tougher test. When you power through the adversity, then you have confidence in yourself that you can take on bigger challenges. And I've taken on a lot of big challenges in my life. I started 7 organizations from scratch. It's about pretty tough. I've written 8 books. That's not too easy to do, and many, 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 many other things that I could talk about, but those are some good ones. I think that all helped me to be able to, in this physical challenge, say, I'm going to stick after it. I'm not going to give in to the temptation to quit. I'm going to keep after this until I achieve it. And now, of course, looking back, yeah, it's just another thing that I can just, the next time I come up against life's adversities that will happen, that I can count on, I'll just be able to recall I made it through what I didn't think I could make it through. And that can be physical challenge, that can be emotional challenge, mental challenge, spiritual challenge, financial challenge, whatever that might be. The beauty is just to know that your better days, your blessed days, your brightest days, they're all ahead of you. I'm going to say it again. Your better days, your blessed days, your brightest days are all ahead of you. The best is yet to come. You've got to believe that. The best is yet to come. And the reason why is because you have overcome the adversity. You've passed the test. And so you're making progress. You're moving in the right direction. And the reason I wanted to start our new season with this message, even though I like the linkage between the anxiety, helping others, and yourself, the reason I chose this one is because I just wanted to make sure that we start this new season with this mindset. The best is yet to come. Your better days, your blessed days, your brightest days are all ahead of you. In this season, we are going to, in many different ways, over many different topics, we're going to keep reinforcing that salient truth, that theme, that you can count on challenges in life, adversities in life, obstacles in life, yes, but they can be overcome. You don't have to give in. You don't have to quit. You don't have to give up. You can do it. You can make it through. What you thought was impossible, it turns out you are able to do it. The utterly impossible challenge is achieved. And I hope you'll take that to heart today, apply it to whatever situation you find yourself in right now, and let's journey together in this new season on the Point of Impact podcast for words of encouragement, inspiration, and motivation for you. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.